Okay, so we're going to spend a little time talking about and understanding ideas and initiatives because this is extremely important. I'll start with a little story. Okay, I once talked to a pilot, and he told me about a time that he had first gotten his pilot's license, just driving a little Cessna, and he was on one of his only solo flights or first solo flights, and he was told never to fly into a cloud. He didn't really think anything of it. He saw a little cloud coming up and he just thought, oh, you know what? It looks like a little thing. I'm just going to fly into it. Well, it took him longer to get through it than he thought. And as he's flying through it, all at once he noticed a small, kind of a strange thing. His pencil, which had been on his dashboard, was now on his ceiling. He emerged from the cloud and realized he was flying upside down. He had gradually, through the cloud, turned the plane ever so gradually that he didn't even feel the seat belt pulling against his shoulders. It had flipped over. Well, he had no idea how to turn the plane over again. He got on his radio, and this was years and years and years ago. The older gentleman is since now passed away even. Um, but and somebody from the small airport he was at coaxed him into how to flip the plane back over, and he landed, but he was scared to death. And he determined when he got down, he said, I've got to learn how to fly by instrument. See, if you don't know how to fly by instrument, then you have to, and he did at that time. You fly, you can't fly at night, you can't fly when you can't see, you can't fly in good weather, and you stay the heck out of clouds, obviously. So he did. Well, at that time, learning to fly by instrument was a very tedious affair, and it still is, but they didn't have flight simulators or anything like that, so there were several large binders full of reading and tests he had to pass and rules he had to memorize. He had to learn a lot. And then it was full of rules. When this happens, don't do this, that type of thing. Anyways, he eventually got certified to fly by instrument. And he said what he really learned from all that was that we think rules and having to do things, that it limits our freedom. Rules do not limit your freedom, because when he learned to play by the rules, he learned to fly by the rules, and he got the extra knowledge and did all the work. Now he could fly at night. He could fly in much worse weather than he used to be able to fly, and he didn't have to see the ground. He could fly in many, many more places and for much longer periods of time, because he didn't have to always be, in sunup and things along those lines. So that is true for initiatives, and not just initiatives. It's about everything in an organization. But when it comes to ideas and initiatives, there's a process in Arena Success Group, and it's there for a reason. You see, when you're running an organization and it comes to ideas and initiatives, which ideas and initiatives are basically either things that you're trying to accomplish or important key indicators that you're trying to constantly improve, both of which are very important. But when you have an idea for either something you're going to track or more likely something you want to do, there's three basic ways that an owner or leader or leaders can run an organization. And the first is that everybody can come up with an idea, but they don't really have to think them out that much. They just kind of gotta make a suggestion and maybe flesh it out a little bit, but not too much. And then somebody at the top or multiple people at the top get to decide yes or no. And then the completion of the idea or carrying out the project, that's kind of like, well, okay, well, maybe we'll get it done. And if we do, it might be done by the sheer authority or effort of somebody who truly believes in it, which may be at the top, but when you do it that way, it's very hit or miss. The quality of the ideas depends on the person who has the authority to decide. The rest of the people in the organization, they see one idea approved and another that doesn't, and 5 by this guy and 0 by the other person, and they get the impression that it's really about who you know and not what you know and how good your ideas are. And the whole thing it looks like the buddy system, and but that's one way, and that's actually the most popular way. All right. Now there's another way, and this is actually was guilty of this for most of my career, and still probably tend toward this. And it's a terrible thing. It's that anybody can come up with an idea, and you know what? And if it has any legs at all, you just go run with it and give it a try. And oh my golly, you end up with this constant flow of ideas and things getting tried and this getting changed and that getting changed, and the ideas almost never are followed through to completion, or at least not completed well. And it's a mess, and it's chaos, and you spend money unnecessarily, and worst of all, time and effort. And it's everybody gets to feel good because their idea got a shot, but it didn't really get a good shot, and people fail at a tremendously higher rate. So that's the second way. Now there's a third way. And the third way is that you create a process that an idea or initiative has to go through to get approved and before it actually gets acted upon. And that process is very rigorous. It's hard to get through it. Now, people will complain about this. It's the least popular idea until it becomes part of the culture. But what this does is it forces people to truly think out their ideas. They have to explain why they're doing it and what success looks like and how they're going to achieve success. And they have to plan it out very rigorously, and they have to do health reports on it to say, well, how healthy is it today, and how it's hard. A lot of ideas will never get off the ground because it's hard, and that is actually key. It keeps you from doing a lot of bad ideas. It drastically increases the odds of an idea that gets approved and becomes an initiative succeeding. And most importantly, now people truly do have the freedom and the motivation to come up with ideas. It's not a buddy system anymore. And they'll come up with plenty of ideas. They'll stop them themselves because they'll realize partway through the process they don't really want to do it that bad, which is fine, or it's not as good of an idea as they thought. It increases the individual's freedom to come up and act upon ideas, and it increases their likelihood of success, and it teaches everyone to be careful and how to plan and think things out. So that is the approach the Arena Success Group organization takes. And it is rigorous, it is hard, it is worth it. So you'll see this is on the focus plan page. This is where ideas are. Most things should start out as an idea, and then they'll go through the process. And the process is really, a captain can edit an idea. Well, as you go through it, you'll notice that if I hit edit on here, it walks me through the process. And again, I apologize, the video is always slower. And we're going to go through every one of these. Every one of these is going to have a button on it so you can see what they are. But it starts out at basically just setting up the idea or the initiative, and then you just run through all these different stages, and when you get done, you will have done a lot of work. You will have also drastically increased your chances of a successful initiative. So that is understanding initiatives, ideas. Hit the understanding review button too, because it goes right along with it. Thank you.